We're back, Tom. You got me. So thanks for coming again. Tom in
Thank
Florida.
you, Phil.
In Florida at the moment.
I am in Florida at the
Florida at the
moment.
moment.
I'm home. We just wrapped up 8 week on the road with classes and trade shows, and I'm actually semi on vacation.
Nice.
It's hard for me to take vacation, but
Well, we're getting you to
I'm
Australia, mate.
trying.
So
I'm trying. Yeah, I'm very excited to come to Australia. It's going to be a lot of fun. I was talking with Mickey Lee, and Mickey was telling me that you're going to love it,
yeah.
and everybody there's going to love what we're doing and everything. And Mickey will be joining us, but he'll be via Zoom. He's not traveling
Yeah.
in person that much anymore, so he will be with us.
So first of all, just like to thank the sponsors that have jumped on board to date: Agile Equipment Hire, Blue Fire Finance, and the Professional Carpet Cleaners and Restorers podcast. So Agile Equipment Hire Company. So any of these large losses where you need more equipment, Agile's the place to go. And Blue Fire Finance, they've been looking after the cleaning and restoration industries for some time now, and they've jumped on board as well. So if you need any finance for new equipment, anything like that, go over to Blue Fire Finance. So I guess today's meeting is more along the lines of understanding what this is about. I think the biggest thing we should get across is that it's two steps. There's the large loss mastery educational side, which is the claims themselves and looking at the jobs and how we can manage those claims. And then you've also got the Edge 2, which is the platform for the software for the accounting, the scoping, the pricing, and all that sort of stuff. So I think the biggest questions I've had to date is getting that understood. So I think I'll put a little slideshow together just to sort of prompt us along the way.
Okay.
If people do have questions, please put them in the chat area, and we'll try to get to as many of those as possible at the end. We do have time for a questionnaire at the end. If people haven't watched the last podcast you did or webinar we did, your background in, just quickly run over again your background in large loss and how you got to this point now, if you could.
Absolutely, and thank you, Phil and Brooke. I'm very happy to be with you guys this afternoon and or this evening for me, and this morning for you. I'm still getting used to that time change, and I'm like, okay, all right, what time is it there?
Hey, good day, mate.
What part of Australia? What part of Australia? And so, my name is Tom McGuire. I started in the restoration industry in 1986. And have been very blessed along the way. The industry as we know it started in about 1979, 1980. And so when I got into it, it was still very, very young. And if you looked at our industry overall, it's a very young industry. When you think about 40 years, it's not very old, but there has been a tremendous amount of change. And so when I started, it's pretty much the same way that everybody starts in this business. There was a fire loss, and I ended up with a Kim sponge in my hand, cleaning a wall, and that's how I got started once upon a time. I've been very blessed along the way to have worked with some of the most talented people in the industry that are still in the industry and are fixtures in the industry that drive the standards. And so as I got a little further into my career, which took me all over the world, we've done projects in Singapore, Kuwait, Costa Rica, Mexico, Canada. So my experience is mostly all commercial and large loss of all different sizes, because large loss is really defined by the complexity of the loss, how much resources it takes. And it's not necessarily a dollar value. And so the complexity is the biggest part of large loss. And so over time, all of that information and everything that we gathered, because back then, think about back in 86, IRCRC was where you went to get your carpet cleaning certificate. There wasn't really any fire, water cleanup focus yet, or standards put together yet. And so we were putting together the foundation of what today is our industry. We were putting together the best practices of the industry. And so what I started to see was this huge gap in the industry where people didn't know the best practices. They didn't know they didn't know what they didn't know, basically. And so
Yeah.
what I did is I put together a manual, the first manual for large loss mastery, and with all the best practices, so that we could bring those to the forefront, because contractors and restorers and insurance folks alike didn't know what they were missing, didn't understand that they were what they weren't getting, and what training they weren't getting. And so I really focused on all of that and putting together the best practices and putting it into a class that is not only educational, but it's fun. And when you leave there, you have tools that you can put to work almost immediately.
Absolutely.
You can almost put them to work while you're sitting in class.
That's right.
And so over those 36 plus years or whatever it is, I stopped counting after 30. It's like, all right, I've been in this industry for 30 years. That's just, it's depressing if I think about it too much, but it's been a blast, having a blast right now, giving back to the industry, giving back to everybody that attends our course. They get literally everything that I have and that everybody that's involved with the class. When you leave there, we leave it all on the table. And it's really exciting when I get phone calls and emails from guys and gals down the road that they're like, man, we just got our first, $800,000 loss. We just got our first $100,000 loss, or we just got our, all of these things just right after we do our class. And it's just really exciting to see not only the light bulbs come on, but to see them light up when they actually use what we're teaching and make things happen. And so
Yeah.
that's it in a nutshell for me. I've been very blessed and traveled all over, and it's been a very good industry for me. So now it's time for me to give everything back to the industry.
So a good point you brought up there, actually, Tom, was large loss. I've been trying to explain to people the name large loss. It doesn't really capture what it's about. And I think the biggest thing you said there was complexity. So it doesn't really matter the size of the loss. That's the thing we're trying to get across. It's the complexity of the loss and how you can collaborate that data as quickly as possible. And the way you've done that is by putting all the information into the formula. And it's almost like a tick and flick now, where you go through after you've done the visual. And I suppose the biggest benefit of that is that if you're doing any of these claims, you don't actually have to be on site yourself. You can train somebody over the phone, if it's in a different state, a different area, to teach them how to do the walkthrough and explain that to them while they're on the phone. And while they're doing the walkthrough, you can start putting this together, sitting at your desk, and putting this whole scope together. So I think that's a really understated and estimated point there. So just on this next slide here, we've got who it may be used for and the benefits. Had some really good conversation with some large loss adjusters last week, actually, and they were talking about how they could use it in the adjuster side. Mm-hmm. Can you explain a little bit better on the adjusting side, how the adjusters could use this, how the insurance companies already use this in the background, and how this could assist with the adjuster side as well, please?
Well, our training course, actually both the training course and the Edge Plus software can be used for consultants, adjusters, restorers alike.
Yeah.
And the reason that is we've based everything on historical data. And so, for example, when you're using the Edge Plus, there's over 30 plus years of data that is built into it. And that's what makes it very accurate. And so we've taken all of that information and created a tool that we can use to estimate, create our scope of work, attach our contract if so be it, or attach anything else that we want to it. That, I mean, it just in a matter of minutes and instead of days. And so it's been very exciting for me to bring it in. Adjusters can use it to set their reserves, because everybody's busy. Nobody has more time. I never hear anybody say, "Man, I have too much time on my hands." I know that's not true for me.
No.
And so for adjusters, it saves them time. They can put together their budget numbers. They can be together. They can be on the same page as the restore. It's very valuable, especially when you have multiple projects going on at the same time, and you need to get a handle on, okay, what are our budget numbers for our losses, so that we can better manage not only the project, but manage the project from the very beginning, from the sales process to the estimating process, the damage assessment process, all the way through the project management process and the critical path planning and all of that. And so very, very efficient tool, but very accurate. And what we have found in all of our tests is with actual users is that we're usually within 5 to 10% of estimating techniques, 5 to 10%, sometimes a little higher, sometimes a little lower, but with 5 to 10%, we can live with that for the speed.
And just on that, when I was in the course, after I left the course with you in America, I was in America, and my business partner Paul had a large job in the city, and again he just gave me the brief outline of the parts I needed, and I put it in the system. And about 2 minutes later, I come up with a budget estimate of $945,000. At that stage, he'd estimated 925, and he'd been there for a week already to put that together. And I did that in about 5 minutes. The job finished off to be just over $1 million by the time after those initial knockdown and everything was done. There's add-ons, there's another, a few things there. So it is very accurate. Once you understand how the system works and how you can manipulate the system, and I think that's the biggest thing as well, is there is manipulation within the system because every job is going to be different. So it is historical data. Some jobs you may be working at heights for longer. You may be in confined spaces. You might be, the guys might be only working for 20 minutes at a time. They're going to come out for whatever reasons, heavier soot, whatever it is. And that's the beauty about the system, is that actually once you understand the claim and understand the job, the rest is easy. It's a simple tool because it does give you chances throughout as you're putting it through to see where those indicator lines are as well. So maybe we talk about that as well, if you could, Tom.
Yeah, the beautiful thing about it is it's accurate and it's fast. But what I love about it is the accuracy is the most important thing for me, and the data gives us that opportunity, and we love it when we're live and we're testing it, and people are throwing numbers at it and we plug it in. The more you use it, the more effective it is, because I can use it on any type of project, just because I put it together and understand it. And so once you understand it, we have guys that are using it on all types of projects, whether it's residential, rebuild, commercial, even just purely water damage projects. And so it takes a little while to learn it, but there isn't a relearning curve, so to speak. We do have a help center in there where there's help videos that you can pull up. And so the relearning curve, if you don't use it for a little while, you just watch a few videos and it will come back to you. And you don't have to take another class on how to use it or anything like that. So it's very easy, but it is, and it was built that way. I'm a keep it simple, stupid guy. I think we have created a lot of things in our industry that have made things more difficult. We have a lot of toys and stuff that we're using now, which are all great, and they're all excellent toys or tools. But I do think that sometimes we have made things a little bit more difficult than they need to be. And so
Yeah.
in putting this together, it was meant to utilize data instead of just filing the data away and then going off to another job. I want to make sure that we're taking the data that we've learned in the past and utilizing it in the future.
So the next slide is we've got actually what's in the course itself. So there's some pre-filled forms. And again, these are, as you're going along, as you're doing your assessment, you just fill these in as you're going. Mm-hmm. The complete pricing structure. So just for everyone who understands, Tom did send me that. We've gone through that complete pricing structure, and it's pages and pages of listed items like knives, blades, tape, drop sheets, gloves, booties, drawing equipment. It's got absolutely everything in there that you may use on these type of claims, and that's how we get to the pricing so quickly. So it's based off not a time and materials, it's more based off how much can one person do in a shift. So maybe we talk about that for a bit too, because I think that's the most important part of what we do here is understand how this pricing model works, and that will become the manipulation from there. So
well, Phil, what we're all taught in the industry right now, there's a lot of fantastic courses out there that teach us how to size equipment and how much equipment do we need. And so that sizing of equipment, which is always like CFM or gallons or pints per day, that is a production rate of our equipment. But nowhere else in the industry does anybody teach us about the production rate of people. And that is the most important thing to understand with projects. And production rate estimating and formulating has been around for centuries. Almost every warehouse, factory in the planet utilizes production rate. Because number one, what do we need to know if we're producing 1 million widgets a year? So what do we need to know? Okay, how many widgets can one person do? Tells me how many people I need, or how many robots. It doesn't matter for people or robots. How much production can that person or robot do? And so what we've done is we've taken all of that data from the 30 plus, actually the guys that provide the data for me have been collecting it for almost 40 years. And what we've done is we've created a tool that will give you your production rate. And once you know your production rate, you can calculate very quickly. In fact, the Edge calculates the number of people that will take to do the job based on your square footage of the job, what's your calendar days for the job. All of those factors play in. And after you go through the course, you understand very clearly production rate. And my goal, and what I always tell our attendees and our students, always look around and ask yourself, what if, how much, and how long? And what we do is we give you the tools to answer those questions and answer them very, very rapidly. And so when you leave our class, you'll be able to look around and look at the building, whether it's an airport, whether it's a mall, shopping mall, or whether it's a building complex. Yeah. You'll be able to look around and have a number in your head, a square footage number, a production rate number in your head. And so that's the beautiful thing about it. Once we know these particular items, we can estimate any size project. Because the key is to always look at and not look at the size of the project. It's like, okay, because that can psych people out. That can get them, all nervous and everything. So we give you the tools that remove all of that. So you can get to your number. Now you can focus on the scope. You can focus on the client. You can scope it. You can focus on the whoever is involved with the project. You can focus on the things that matter. Too many times we get so hung up on the number, on the cost of the job, and factoring the cost. It's like, by the time you get done with that, you're already behind on the most important parts of the job.
And so just to let people understand why we chose the Sydney Opera House,
Mhm,
again, it's a scale job. It doesn't matter the scale of the job. Once you
mhm,
understand the formula, it
mhm,
doesn't matter the job. So Sydney Opera
mhm,
House, World Trade Center,
mhm.
so 1996 was it? So
Yep.
maybe
93. Yep. Yep.
23, maybe
Yep.
explain to people how the World Trade Center, what happened there, and in 21 days, what happened after that. So
Well, the beautiful thing about this system is, yes, we will be at the Sydney Opera House, and you might be sitting there thinking, man, we'll never do something like that, and that might be true. What we show you though, why we're going to the Sydney Opera House, is to show you that the techniques that we're using, you could, if you had all the resources to do that job, we give you the tools to do that job. And so the beautiful thing is when you see that massive structure and all of these technical things, what we do is we break it down to where it's like, dang, okay, Robert. So we were worried about this and overwhelmed. Now you don't have to be. And so with the World Trade Center in 1993, for those that don't remember, the first time that they bombed the World Trade Center was with dynamite. And I was blessed again to have worked with probably the most talented group of people ever assembled in a one restoration company. And at that time, I mean, we were not a big restoration company. In the World Trade Centers, altogether was about 8.8 million square feet, which to this day is still one of the largest projects that's ever been done. And we performed that project, the priority parts of that project in 16 days. And that's a huge challenge. But we were a very small company when we did that. We might have been, if we looked at US dollars, we might have been about an $8 to $10 million company back when we got that job and did that job. And it was a challenge. But the thing about doing large loss, there's not that much difference between a large loss and a big job. The difference is having the resources, having the equipment, having the financing, having the knowledge to do the job, having all of those things in place. And that's what this class is all about. And that's what I love, when we're teaching it, and you can see the light bulbs come on in everybody's eyes all of a sudden, and they get it, and then bang, then they can walk out of there on any size loss and compete if they have their resources in order. And so that's the beautiful thing about it.
So one of the biggest things that I see people walk away or get shy from these jobs is the paperwork side. So on the screen now, we've got just a sample of some of the paperwork that is involved in the system. So this is where you add in the details. And the good thing about it is you get all that when you leave, like all that paperwork that you don't have right now, the legal documents and all that sort of stuff, you give that as part of this course. What
Mhm.
if you were to price that out alone? How many dollars would you put the lawyers and everything that's cost to actually get that paperwork together? What's.
Oh man, the cost over the years, because these are all templates and these are live templates. These are being used live all over North America, and that's the beautiful thing about what we're teaching, and the tools that we use, is they're all proven techniques, and they're being used by a lot of contractors all over North America. And so um, if I had to put a price on them, if you had your attorneys and just the time to put it together, just the paperwork alone, the templates and everything that we give out that are free in the class, um, it's got to be a couple thousand US at least.
Yeah.
If you factored in attorneys and everything to look at them, they always add a lot more. So you're probably between $2,000 and $10,000
Yeah.
just on the paperwork side of things.
So some of the paperwork we've actually got up on the slide now. You've got your building pricing, so that's completely personalised. Your pricing structure produced from the production rate. invoicing and payment schedules, advanced work authorities, responsibilities for payment. A lot of people don't factor that into it, as well as who's going to be paying if they don't pay, who's up for that. Payment defaults is another thing you go into if that was to be, and term and termination as well. So they can terminate you and you can terminate them. So you have to have that in your contract as well. So that's a couple of things that people don't probably think about, that don't do these sort of claims. But again, even if you're doing a complex claim at a house, you should have this paperwork in place as well. And that's something we don't have. So yeah, maybe just quickly run through those, how they come about.
Yeah, absolutely. We go through all of our templates, and then invoicing, all of the different things that you need to watch out for, what we need to pay attention, because we want to walk the client, you know, we want to take the client on a journey. What the loss is going to look like right now, what it's going to look like tomorrow, and what it's going to look like when we're done. And we want to make sure everybody is on the same page. And so that we're doing our paperwork, our daily paperwork, so everybody is getting the same information, all of our timesheets, all of our equipment sheets, all of our moisture content logs, all of those things go into our project documentation, because that is the most important thing. We have an important saying here in the States, an old saying, I should say, if you don't document it, it didn't happen. And we have a lot of consultants here in the States, and so it's a lot different than Australia. And so we have to jump through a lot of hoops, and so we have to make sure our paperwork is in excellent order. Again, if you don't document it, it didn't happen, and so we want to make sure everything is accounted for and everybody's on the same page.
And I guess, look, guys, with the documentation that is provided, it's best that we get your own Australian lawyers to look over this stuff as well. There is a cost, but again, they're not starting from scratch. They already have the details there. So it will be a lot cheaper as well. So I couldn't imagine too many people having all the paperwork together, ready to go if this was to happen. And that's the beauty of the system. It's all in one package. So we're just putting up a few things that actually highlight what's in the contractual agreements there. So construction, you've got costs and attorney fees. So if someone doesn't pay, there's also a bit of a legality in there, who pays the cost for the attorney fees, your capabilities and your authority. So when you're going into these sort of contracts, you have to know your rights as well as the parties that are being provided, whether they're assisting you or how that's working. So there is the legal side of that as well. Next slide there, Brooke, please.
It's on the next slide.
Oh, it is. Oh, yeah. The entire agreement and negotiating terms as well. So next one, Brooke. Yeah. So yeah, there's also the severability, which is unforeseen. So going to these sort of claims, there's going to be a lot of unforeseen things that may pop up. And I guess if you have this in order to start with, and you're talking to your loss adjusters, your building advisors, there's going to be parts that are going to have to be removed. So there's could be construction in there as well, building construction. So it has those documents in there as well. There you go. There's your time and materials. Now, it also has in there that these are estimates. This isn't a final quote. And I think people need to understand that there's a lot of difference between a budget estimate and a final quote, and how that is verbiaged as well. So again, it's just part of the paperwork that's part of this. On the loss adjusting side, this was a question that was brought up from the loss adjusters. How do they use the software to actually pinpoint areas like, you know, there might be a kitchen area in a commercial that has to be completely gutted. As a restorer that you go in there, how do we put those details for the building side in the paperwork? There's sections in there that you can fill out for that, or is that something that maybe we can talk to the assessors to actually add into? How easy would it be to add in portions for specialized areas?
You do have in the general reconstruction section, there is an area for line items. And so you can add in as much information on the reconstruction end of it as possible. We will be coming out before we get to Australia. We will have the 3.0 version of the Edge Plus, and very excited about that. I'm gonna actually give it the whirl here on Friday, and so very excited about it. We will have more options that will be available that we'll be able to add in, and things that are specific to Australia. And so there will be a conversion button that you can push, and it will automatically convert.
Nice.
And then there will be some other things that once we get to Australia and you guys start to use it, we will adapt it, whatever, in any way that we can to make sure that we're creating the tool that works specifically for you.
Yeah. That's breaking news, mate. I didn't even know about that. Edge 3. I don't know how to say this word. Is it Gannon? Whatever it is, Gannon sheet, where you actually the workflow. So,
Yep.
I mean, this is just a one I just picked off the internet, but that's part of the course as well, is to show actually.
Yep.
So, how does this work? It's it's a visual, but how does it work?
Mm-hmm. Well, what we're looking at is we'll talk about several different tools, and I'm a restorer and an operations guy at heart. And so throughout my career, I was always in charge of the projects or multiple projects. And the number one thing that I always wanted to know, and what the clients always wanted to know, was how much it's going to cost, when you're going to start, when you're going to finish.
Yeah.
And what the critical path does, which is a Gantt chart, it tells the client when you're going to start, when you're going to finish in a specific task. And so, for example, if we're in hospitality, what's the most important thing to anybody in hospitality? It's heads and beds. So we want to turn the rooms over, get heads and beds. That's our money. And so in that example, we would use the critical path to say, okay, here's when we're going to be done with the 7th floor, and here's when we're going to be done with the 6th floor, 5th floor, and so on and so forth, so that the client can see clearly how the job is going. It's not written in stone; it will change, but it's a visual aid. It's the scope of work in a visual format, usually just in a couple pages, but it gives the client a real easy roadmap to look at. We're all visual people. We all like our pictures, we're primarily visual. I know for me, I get more out of video than I do anything else. And so with that, we just follow that same line where that critical path is that visual aid. And for me personally, in my career, it has benefited the people that I've worked for greatly. Probably close to $20 to $30 million has just been made just off of telling somebody when you're going to start, when you're going to finish.
Yeah.
Very valuable tool.
And again, that's something that's taught in the course as well. So,
yes.
How to implement that, how to put it into that file as well. And then once we've collected all the data, putting it together, how long does it take to put a full scope? Let's say you've got $1 million claim, $20,000 claim, it doesn't matter. The time frame, once you've got that data input, how long does it take to put this whole scope together?
The scope, again, comes in a template format. And so it is an 8-page document that has everything in it: walls, ceilings, floors, every type of building material. And you can also add in as much information as you want. So if it's not in the scope, you can type it in. Very easy to use. It's all built into the Edge Plus. Once we have our number, you could literally, if you had all your damage assessment information, you can put together your scope of work in probably about an hour, maybe a little bit more on a larger complex project. But with utilizing the Edge, you can put together your number, your cost, your reserves, your budget number, and your critical path, or not your critical path, but your scope of work, and your contract in less than an hour. And so that's the beautiful thing. And not everything in the scope template will you use, but it's all in there so that it will remind you, I forgot about that. And then you can include it, or it's like, that doesn't apply to this job, and you just simply delete it. And so very valuable tool.
Yeah, it's mostly tick and flick all the way through with the ability to add as you go. So, and I guess is the crust of what the Edge 2 or Edge 3 will be when it's out brought out to Australia. So, mate, it's a fantastic tool. I've loved the tool. I've gone through it a couple of times now since the course. The other thing is the cost for that tool is a yearly subscription. What the American cost for that tool is how much?
In US, it's $8.99.
Yeah.
Without the discount, with you guys, there will be a discount. I think we're at 20% usually is what we do for anybody that attends. So you get a 20% discount right away. And we're easy to work with. I'll say that.
How many claims can you put into that once you own the subscription? How many claims can you put into it?
Oh, it's unlimited.
Unlimited, yeah.
Yeah, you can use it as much as you want. It's not a pay per click or per job or anything like that. It's a yearly subscription that is unlimited. It is built for one user. And so that is the one caveat. But if you have a small company, you may only need one copy anyway. And so your estimator will have it. You can store as much information as you want. You can come back and edit and resend or upload new information into it. It's very easy to use, and what we love is for in our classes. We just had a class here in Cape Canaveral last week, and it was probably the quickest turnaround or window that the teams had to put together. They only had about 5 hours to complete the task, and they put together proposals for $2 million worth of work, and that included the scope of work, the number of the contract, critical path, a work plan, and a safety plan, all in 5 hours.
Yeah. And again, once you have this information, you can use parts as you want for other claims as well, because the paperwork's there. It's already there. At the end of the course, mate, what happens at the end of the course? How do we get a winner? What's the process, and what do you get for being a winner?
Oh, well, for being a winner, I've got a turn here. I know I've got this behind me, but here's what I got to reach back here. And this is Astro. He's about 12 inches tall, and he is our new award. We actually have 3 different versions, and I've got the screen behind me, so I can't show you all of them, but he will be making his Australian debut in August also. So this is Astro. All the team members of the winning team get one of these. And so
there's a little bit of competition between the groups. I was who can put together the best scope and everything. So it's a bit of fun as well. So it's not it's not all play, it's a bit of fun. So
yes, we like to have fun. We usually have a group dinner where we'll get everybody together to network and laugh and drink a few beers and cook some steaks and enjoy. I always tell everybody, enjoy the moment, enjoy where you are, enjoy what you're doing. And it's my goal to make sure that the journey is good for you, and that you get as much out of the large loss mastery experience that you can, and you'll use the information that we provide for the rest of your career.
Maybe Brooke, if you could just run through the where we're staying, the days, where we're going, the dinner, if you wouldn't mind doing that.
Yep, I can do that. Give me 1 second.
So it is a 4-day course. It's a Tuesday to a Friday. We have, at the moment, we've got the Novotel at Darlinghurst hooked up for a special rate. We've got it up there, Brooke. There we go.
So there we go. So that's the run through. So you've got day one will be at our Golden Age Cinema and Bar. So that's quite a cute little venue. So there'll be food and everything on there. We'll be doing a coach from the Novotel where we'll at least be staying to Golden Age, and then pick up at the end of the day as well. Day two will be at the Novotel in their little conference room. So there's a pretty cool views of Sydney, Darling Harbour from those rooms too. Day three will be at Novotel again, and then that is when we have the Opera House tour too. So later on in the day, I think it's 2:15, and then after that is the course dinner. Oh no, sorry, Sydney Opera House is on the
City's on day two.
Wednesday. Yeah, day two. My bad. So day three is the course dinner, which is at Siren Bar Grill and Seafood, which is included in the course. And then day four finishes at Novotel Darling Harbour as well in the conference rooms.
Yeah, so we should be finished 3 o'clock on the day 4, which is the Friday.
I think roughly around then is when we've got it set.
Yeah, about 3 o'clock. So yeah, just a quick another run through. We'll be starting off at the front of the Novotel on day one on the Tuesday. We've got transport to the Golden Age Cinema, and there's a big production to be done at the cinema. So something different that you haven't done before. So what Tom does like to do is he's got videos and he tries to get you in the mood of what we're doing. Completely different to what we've ever done in any other course. And then the start of day two will be practically going over what we've done and the new start of the Edge, I believe it is. And then we go to the Sydney Opera House and we do a tour.
So do lunch at the Novotel, and then after lunch we head to
we've got transport from the Novotel down to the Opera House and then back up to the Novotel. And then on Thursday, day three, we've also got our speakers coming in during the day. So we've got people coming in. So we're looking at getting people that work in the large loss sector for the insurance companies to go through and explain bits and pieces about, how large losses go through, what insurance is required. If the people have enough insurance, if they don't have enough insurance, what happens there? Your business interruption insurances, if there's data. So a lot of breach in data could happen on these types of claims as well. So we look at the data expense of the claim. So if they've got servers or computers, it may be a health facility where they've got private patient details. So you might be doing a local pharmacy or something like that that's got all these details, and that would come in order there. So we go through a lot of that on the insurance side. So that's stuff that you really don't understand or know, we'll be able to get that information. A beautiful dinner that night on the Thursday. It's a seafood, is it? Seafood and steak, I believe. So that's all paid for. It's all part of your course cost. And on the last day, we finalise and we have our awards on day 4. Bit of banter and a bit of fun on day 4, actually. So it's not as stressful on the 4th day, but it's a lot of education up until then, so it's good. Anything you wanted to add into that, Tom? That sort of
you will learn much, and you'll be able to carry this on through your career. You're going to have fun. One of the things that we love to do is have fun. And this class will be different than any other class if you've ever been to.
Absolutely.
And I pride myself on that, that this is a different level class. And I'm always working to make sure that we're on that edge, so to speak, and pushing the edge. And so I
Yeah.
want to make sure that we're always providing the best opportunity, best training opportunity that there is.
And the good thing about it too, there's plenty of times throughout each of the days for those conversations as well.
Mhm.
You know, so, and there will be a lot of questions because this is new. It's not something that anyone's really put together again. So there are a lot of questions that can be asked, and hopefully the people in the room will be open enough to discuss sort of old claims that they've had, and then we able to transfer that into how we're looking at this as well. So
Absolutely.
once you've done this, the beauty about it is that you can actually go through your historical data yourself, take this away, bring out the edge, and actually put those historical data into the edge and see how quick and easy it is and how close it is. And that's how you get the ability as well to, you know, get that in your mind and how it works as well. So the tool itself is the understanding is the 4 days. And what you take out of from there is how you make the money. So it's it's a new and innovative way of looking at it. The production rate hasn't been used in our industry before. You know, I've done many of fire claims, 2-story houses. You know, you got staff, 5, 6 staff in there for 2 weeks. You know, with their soot sponges and chemicals, and you know, even if you can really hone it down and get that production rate where you need it. The beauty about large claims and production rate is that once you have it set up and you understand it, all you need is those supervisors. Those supervisors then train the people, and then you as an oversight, you can have a look at those areas in a large scale and see if that production rate's working as it's supposed to. So the management side is looked at as well. So if there's any questions, it doesn't look like there's any questions.
I've got a question on the Facebook Live. So they've said, in terms of users, if we want more than one license, what are the costs involved with that? You're saying there is only one included in the subscription for $800 US. If we have more than one person scoping, do we need to pay a full $800 again?
No, what we'll offer is for multiple users, we can create an enterprise account where you can have multiple users, and and we'll work on a discounted price for that. So it would if you're within the same company, we always work with all of our clients on their individual needs, because everybody's different, and some will only have one person with the estimating tool in their office, where others might have 5 or 6.
The other thing too is that hasn't been mentioned is that you do have your own software developer as well. So the beauty about it is being able to reach out and also adjust pretty quickly anything that you require as well. So maybe just touch on that as well.
Yeah. And the beautiful thing is with I don't do anything offshore as far as my developing. It's all done here in the US. And so every time we have a class, there's always a little tweak that we'll make to the Edge Plus, so that it fits what they're using. And so sometimes even during the class will be like, well, what if we could do this? What if we could do that? And we'll make that change even during the class, because the number one thing, this is for you. This is a tool that is for you. Large loss mastery is for the attendees. It's not for me. This is, everything that I'm doing is for you. And so when we're developing this tool, you are the ones that are driving the next version. And this version that's getting ready to come out, the version that we have now is light years ahead of what we first brought to the market a year and a half ago. And the next version is even going to be better. But it's all based on user feedback. And because we do everything that we do has the end user in mind, and the attendee in mind.
And just to give everyone an understanding, we spoke, I think last Wednesday or Thursday, in reference to the Australian like terminologies, square meters and square feet, and it was done straight away. Like it's almost an instant once I got it back to you. So, and again, the prices that I've put in there aren't set in stone as well. Again, they're just a guideline of indicative costs. They're going to change, obviously, for the size of your business, your normal drive rates, all that sort of stuff. And that's all, as you're going through, you can change all that anyway. So your labor costs and everything. So that's the beauty about the system. It's not it's a living document. It's not a fixed document. And that's how it has to be. So just want to get that out there and get that clear. So,
well, you know, the beautiful thing, Phil, is that it's the users that determine where all of this goes. And that's what I really love about what I'm doing is what makes it really exciting, is because the classes are always adapted to the attendee as well as the edge. And so it's very exciting right now. So I'm very excited to come to Australia, and I can't wait to see the lights come on.
You'll see it from where you're staying, mate. So. The discount code for the Novotel, Brooke. How do people get a hold of the Novotel, and what do they have to do?
So on our Large Loss Mastery page on our website, there is a link for booking accommodation. So if they go to, I'm just going to see if I pull it up. Not that tab. Nope, not that one.
So Carsi, carsi.com.au.
Yep.
There's a landing page there, and there's also payment options. So we've also
Just
brought
down
in
here. So they're charging $280 per night if you book through this accommodation link. Yeah, and that includes one complimentary breakfast. It's got all the information. So I've got some videos in this little section here with some of Tom's testimonials that he's had. Flip around, webinar, course itinerary video. 2
types of payment options as well. So you can pay in full, or you can pay in 2 sections. Has to be paid within the 4 weeks.
Yeah, so first payment comes out straight away. Second payment comes out 4 weeks after that first payment's made. But this option will only be available up until the 26th of July.
Okay.
So it has to be paid prior to the event.
All right. Wonderful. Thank you, Tom. Thank you again.
No, thank you.
What time is it over there? It's only 9 o'clock or something.
Yeah, it's 9
or something.
Yeah, it's not.
Early, mate.
Yeah, we're just coming up on 9 o'clock.
Time for dinner. So, mate, can't wait for you to get over here. So it's going to be fun. So, if there's no more questions, we'll catch
Not
up
from
soon.
what I can
Again,
see.
thanks again, Brooke, for putting this together, helping me out.
Yes, thank you, Brooke.
And to our sponsors, and if you want to become a sponsor on this, please reach out. We're happy to have more sponsors, get more people involved.
Where do they reach out to, Phil?
Carsi.com.au. Support at carsi.com.au.
I just wanted to see if you could remember.
Yeah, Brooke's email address. So. All right, everybody. Thanks again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye now.
Talk to you soon.
Will do.